let's just get right into the main topic, or the second main topic, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And the episode is called The Dirty Half Dozen. I remembered to look it up this time. We're back on it.
Yes, very aptly named.
What were your thoughts on the episode? Because I'm positive. I am very positive on this one.
Yeah, definitely. I think that they did a pretty good job of kind of leading into Age of Ultron. I almost said Agents of Ultron.
I won't spoil anything, but that's funny.
There's some truth to that, but who am I to know as of right now? But anyway, so yeah, they had Dr. List from Hydra was in the episode, and he was in the Winter Soldier, right?
Yeah, he's in the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
The post-credit scene of Winter Soldier leads directly into Ultron as well.
Yes, because so that has
all similar stuff.
And then he, of course, mentions the Hydra's experimentation and the twins, which is just dropping the bomb for most of us who know, of course, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and I'm very excited. But yeah, so there was a lot of like little teases and threads, and and the episode ultimately culminates with Coulson deciding that it's time to call in the Avengers, which is this moment of just this like dun 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 the movie is here, and so I think it was a very fitting end to everything after all the craziness that transpired. But this was yet another episode showing how all of we have the S.H.I.E.L.D. factions and Hydra, and then the Inhumans from Afterlife. The show is continuously providing a way for all of these different groups to come together. And again, lots of kind of parallel themes that are going on even within those groups as we're kind of cutting around. Like, for example, we see that May is questioning the authority of Coulson after getting to go on the council of like the real S.H.I.E.L.D., kind of getting to be... She's serving as his advocate initially, but then upon discovering all of this web of lies that he has been weaving for months on end, so there's that distrust, and no longer does she really want to serve as his advocate. And then we go to Afterlife with the Inhumans, where Raina's visions are kind of starting to come into play and have a really big bearing on the main events of the episodes. And Jiaying is wanting to kind of be the one through whom her visions go as far as like what decisions are made, because her visions lead to Sky joining up with the S.H.I.E.L.D. group that goes to infiltrate the S.H.I.E.L.D. or the Hydra base. And I mean, again, just all these things are, it seems complicated when I talk about it, but it makes a lot of sense. And the episode did a really good job of drawing us into it and keeping us in the pocket, knowing what's going on. And I think that it was really powerful to get to see the old group back together, even though everybody has changed so exponentially since the start. What with Gemma actually trying to murder Ward, which, hello. But to be fair, he does say that he is not sorry for Fitz's brain damage and for, throwing them to the sea. So that's kind of not okay. Like, I miss this family, but I'm not sorry that I kind of ruined your lives. I just miss this. No consequences. But yeah, really fascinating to see how there was just a lot of cool character dynamics, even with like Agent 33 and Bobby kind of befriending each other, and now she's ultimately back with S.H.I.E.L.D. So there's a lot that's in flux, but it's always good to have everybody come together against a common enemy. Yet at the same time, kind of the problematic element to this is the fact that everybody's kind of waiting to deal with things until after this one thing, you know? There's this sense of like Jiaying allows Call to stay in afterlife until later, until things calm down, she says. And he's like, okay, that's great, fine and dandy, woohoo. But when are things ever going to calm down? You know, even how with Phil is promising May that he will give her a lengthy apology for going behind her back to seek counsel from her ex-husband and just all this stuff. And it's like, for now, let's do this. For now. So we see these situations that bring people together, but it's also kind of tearing them apart because now Gemma has this secret about what she's going to try to do to Ward. He's out of the picture, but still kind of in. And woof, I could go on for days, but I really liked the episode. I think it did a good job of getting us ready for Age of Ultron. Of course, it helped to have that little TV spot at the end, which is exciting to see. But yeah, so we have 2 episodes left, and I think there's a lot of good momentum for the end and new things that they are bringing in that keep all of the different groups in the story relevant and sort of making them clash with each other. But I think that my favorite part was getting to see Skye back with the main group and busting out her John Wick style moves as like, oh man.
I was waiting to talk about that. That's my favorite part of the whole episode.
It was so beautiful. I mean, this episode in particular just visually stood out a lot because we've seen a lot of the flight sequences and they're kind of like, okay, that's the idea of a ship in flight. It doesn't really look that compelling compared to what we've seen cinematically speaking. But, you know, from even the scene of the plane getting shot down, that was really, really beautiful and looked very lifelike. And then with the single tracking shot that was following Skye, just the choreography was so on point. I mean, there was a part of me that wanted, when the scene first kind of got underway, I was like, oh, I hope, I almost wanted to look away because I was afraid it wasn't going to look good. And then it did. And it was so great. And Skye kicked so much ass and I have no complaints. But I will let you share your thoughts, bestow them upon me.
Well, I will bestow a plenty because this episode kind of packed the wall up for me. Like I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed like everything in it, and it does feel a little busy. And coming off of Age of Ultron, I swear I will try not to talk about it as much as possible. But Age of Ultron itself feels busy and very, very busy. It's not. It's spoiler alert. It's still great. There you go. Yeah. Same thing here. Like it's a little busy, but here things have time to breathe. And we're getting to see original characters interact with each other once again. The original core team that started the show.
Yep.
And that was kind of nice seeing everyone together. But yeah, their relationships have all differentiated vastly from when we first saw them. And I kind of love how nobody is willing to put up with Ward besides Coulson, and Coulson's only doing it so he doesn't have to after this. Like, that made me happy because it's like, oh, I don't want anyone to forgive him. I was really worried they'd have him go through this arc where people would be like, I forgive you, Ward. And I'd be like, that would have made me upset. The show would have lost me probably because I would just not have bought into that. There's no way. I maybe you could have like a redeeming moment down the line, but
no, there's
just
pretty much
a moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and like he even tries to justify it, like when they're all in the briefing room going over the mission plan. He's like, well, my parents, my family. It's just like, shut up. Good God, man. There is nothing, like, there's nothing that he could say. And the fact that he attempted to justify it just was kind of sickening to me. It's like the fact that you're trying to be objectively aware of why you were like a betraying asshole. Like, no. It's not going to go down like that. You deserve to be the elephant on the plane. I'm sorry, but them's the facts.
He's kind of a dick. But I like the character, even though he's a dick. Not as a person, obviously, but I like having him around still. I would have never have thought they would have used him so efficiently in a second season. Like, maybe I'm just boring. I would have thought he would have like died at the end of the first season, you know, and then they have like trust issues with all their future teammates. But no, this is cool. Like they're really using
Totally.
him like believably too. Like
Hmm.
it's not a stretch that he would survive this long. Like
Totally.
he's the type of animal that would like bite his dog off to say, or bite his leg off. Maybe he'll bite his dog to save himself too.
He
I
might.
believe that he would do that. But yeah, the sky action scene was a huge highlight.
Oh yeah.
Marvel, I think Marvel TV, every show should have one awesome tracking shot that goes on for like a minute or something, because they're getting really good at that.
Yeah,
Um,
they are. They're getting their practice on, that's for sure.
yeah, I mean, I guess a minor quibble is that I didn't believe that they wouldn't send Bobby Morse, Bobby,
Yeah.
yeah, that they didn't send Bobby with the original team. I like it because that brings the original team back together, but at the same time, it's
Hmm.
like I don't know if Gonzalez would have just been like, okay, you can stay here while they go on their mission. Like
Yeah.
that's a thing that kind of like irked me a little bit. I mean, the rest of the episode was outstanding. I was sad to see Bakshi go. That was kind of cool
Yeah.
how he went with Gemma, of course, going down a darker path to try and kill Ward and trying to
Yeah.
keep her promise. But if she ever see him again, she will kill him. And I wouldn't have minded if she had been the one to do it.
Hmm.
And maybe she still might down the line to fulfill
Yeah.
her promise. Like a dark promise for sure, but
Hmm.
so cool. And
Yeah.
Sky finally having control of her powers, like we get to see the
Hmm.
duality of it too, because like her mother said, it could be destructive, but it could be beautiful. And so we see her like kick ass with it, like launch the shock waves at people, but at the same
Yeah.
time able to resuscitate, I guess is the proper word,
Right.
Lincoln.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I was like, oh hey, we get instances of both. So it's not
Yeah.
like heavy handed that oh it could be ugly, oh it could be beautiful. It's like no, they're
Hmm.
just naturally woven into the story context,
Yeah,
and
it's
that was cool.
practical. It makes sense. They don't have to be like, oh, and here's Sky making things move. I mean, it makes we understand kind of what she can do, and yet it's still just beyond us because we're getting to see new pieces of how her powers are manifested like every single time. And so I love that this episode brought all of Sky together in one episode, which was really incredible, from getting to see her empathy for her father to her freaking moves on the battle floor and using and just all these things that she brings together shows that she is truly a reckoning force now. And while I never would have foreseen this being her path at the beginning of the show, and I was quite frankly pissed off at how much the show was trying to build her up, it's really paid off in a big way. And that rarely happens for me with a character that I start off disliking. I tend to stick to my guts and be stubborn about it, but they've really transformed just who Sky is, what she's about. She's so much clearer and more tangible and real as a character to me. And I like that a lot.
I want her in an Inhumans movie. I don't know that'll happen. Lately, comments have been reiterating the fact that Marvel TV and movies will never cross over, which makes sense. Like someone
Hmm.
like Coulson, I don't need to see him in the movies again because I feel like his
Yeah.
arc is done. Like he brought the Avengers together, he died, he gave them something to avenge, and
Right.
now they've moved on. Now they got different problems like giant genocidal robots, but like stuff like that. Maybe like down the line, you could see Sky in Humans, or smaller stuff like that, smaller
Yeah.
scale movies. That'll be fine. But as a whole, I'm gonna finish off on the episode, and then we could talk about something I've really wanted to talk about for a couple of weeks. I am very looking forward to where the season's headed because I
Yeah.
don't know where it's headed. I mean,
Hmm.
I think next week is going to be Fallout from Age of Ultron,
Yeah.
which uh, I'm interested in seeing how they tackle things that happen there
Yeah.
because of reasons. I guess I'll note next time we'll also talk a little bit about Age of Ultron spoilery stuff along with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because if you're watching Agents of
Yes.
S.H.I.E.L.D. and you're not watching the Marvel movies as they come out, what are you even doing like with this cross-platform entertainment? I mean, that
I
sounds
can't
kind of harsh,
even
but at the same
imagine.
time, I think it should be fair game. Like
I think so. I think that's pretty fair.
all right,
I,
yeah, great episode. really looking forward to where it's headed. Again, I don't know. Final thoughts on the episode for you?
I'm digging it. I'm super ready for Age of Ultron, which is tomorrow for me, Thursday. And yep, good luck to myself trying to work tomorrow because that's not going to play out well. I will be so distracted. Oh, yeah, just ready. I feel the momentum. The push is here. Less than 24 hours.
All right.